How does a busy person actually achieve balance? Well, maybe she's born with it. Why does her life always look so perfect? There's nothing like a good old fashioned scroll to build your confidence in yourself and your goals. Said no one ever. Today, we're going to discuss how a busy person actually achieves balance. Welcome to the Creative Life in Motion podcast, where we discuss creativity, movement, and taking action in life now instead of waiting till the perfect time. And I'm your host, Karen Wilson. Let's dive in, shall we? This is episode number 3 in the series, and it can also be a really great standalone episode. So if you want to go through this one and then go back to those 1 and 2, I think that that would be perfectly fine. You can also follow along through the link below. There's the Ideas in Motion Planner digital pages. I'll link to those below. They also did a podcast not too long ago about the dark side of social media, how it can actually help you gain weight, gain anxiety and depression, and so, if you're interested in a little bit more about that, since we are primarily going to be talking about smartphones and social media today, that might be another one you want to dig into after you've listened to that. I'll make sure that we have that linked below. But if you are anything like me, then every year on the top of the to-do less of list is smartphone use, especially social media, scrolling. It always ends up at the top of my list to do less of. And I think that I start setting out right. I start to do, a really good job at having self discipline, and I still allow myself social media time, but they're in planned windows, and I'm more intentional on my social media use, meaning that I'm actually going to go look for what my friends are saying, what my friends are doing, rather than just going through the deadly scroll roll and start to see these things that I feel like I can't measure up to. Knowing that mostly when people post things, it's they're having a great time in their life, or they're usually at their best or their worst. And I have a tendency personally to not really post anything when I'm feeling my worst, but I will post things when I'm feeling my best, which means I'm adding to that highlight reel of everybody else's highlight reels. There's not very much in the middle, boredom post unless you're like looking for events or recommendations, or there's a lot of that. So I don't think social media is uh horrible. I think it's how we choose to use it that dictates how what's going to happen with us with overuse, how we feel about it, and how we may be addicted or not addicted. I don't know. That's why I created the smartphone boundary builder, which is what we're going to talk about essentially today. It's time for me to do this again. And, I find one of the most eye opening exercises is when I look to get like a tech free day. When I do a tech free day, like I take a Sunday or something and I'm like completely, put my phone in a drawer and I can hear it ring if like my mom phones or something. But I like intentionally do not have my phone on, and I feel like, I'm looking for it. What is happening? It's like I'm looking for it in the same way, on almost the same panic that I would look for smokes when I was a smoker like 2 decades ago. And I'm like, this is not really sitting right with me. So let's talk about these little best friends that we have. Why is it important to have a smartphone boundary builder? Because it will allow you to increase your energy, because the less amount of times that you need to respond to your phone, the less amount of times that you need to make a decision to answer the bing or the bling or the beep, the more energy your brain has. So if it's just silent or quiet or not making noise or turned over and you don't, your phone, maybe even in a drawer, your brain is not needing to make the decision every time you even look at it. Am I going to pick it up or not? That's fatigue. That's creates decision fatigue. It all is connected, right? Every single time your brain has to decide something, it is adding to your fatigue. So it can actually heighten your energy if you delete more of the phone from your life. Decluttering your phone as well, like, so we're going to go through that process as well of decluttering like your home screen, kind of like your desktop. It's one of those hidden things that helps with anxiety or the feeling of being scattered. If you open up your phone all the time and there's like a million apps in your face and you can't find what you're looking for, your thumb just automatically goes to the Facebook button. Oh, that's me. Because it's just so recognizable, right? So your brain wants to do what it's easily to do, right? So decluttering your phone is going to help ease anxiety. It's just like your desktop. When you open up your desktop on your computer, if it's got a bunch of stuff like splat on the screen, then it's not very relaxing. It's clutter, right? You know, the art of decluttering. I did a video about decluttering my closet. I'll make sure that I link that up. But it's definitely one of those things that really helps in more ways than one. So we're going to do it to the BFF smartphone. And then also setting boundaries on your phone is going to free up time to do other things and boost your personal health. I think that we should probably get started on this. And the first thing that I'm going to do is if you're watching on YouTube, where I also post this podcast, I am doing like a screen recording of my phone. Now, if you're listening on your podcast player, you can have your phone in your hand and you'll be able to follow along, but not if you're like driving or cleaning the dishes or something. Then just like, use this as an ear marker. I say that because a lot of times, this might be one that you want to come back to. I know, when I listen to podcasts, a lot of times I'm doing something else, like I'm cleaning the house, I'm folding my laundry, cooking my dinner, putting my makeup on, doing stuff that I don't need my brain to really think about, and then that way I can ingest my learning. So, if that's you right now, you can take a mental note of these. You might not be able to follow along as it happens, but what we're gonna do is you're gonna come back to this and maybe come back to the video so that you can follow along if you have an iPhone. If you have an Android, then it's just like the concept. I'm gonna get my phone up here. So what you can see here, this is my lock screen. And the first thing that we're gonna do in this exercise is clean up your home screen. Okay, here we are looking at my home screen. And the only thing on my home screen is the stuff that support my morning goals. So on here, I have my Aura ring where I can check my sleep. I have everything in health. So inside health, I have my apps that help me with my workouts. I have my body app, my Peloton app, chronometer for those times that I feel like I'm going to, you know, count my calories and not very often or track. So I have the calendar, the clock, and voice memos. I like to have the voice memos on there specifically for when I go for a walk. I like to make sure that if I get any like clarity nuggets or clarity bombs, when I'm working on something creative, I have something to dictate it right on the home screen. It's easy to find. Then on the bottom, which I think it's like the dock is called, I have my phone, my camera, my note apps, and my music. And that's what I do for my home screen. Now you can create folders by dragging apps together. So once you have everything on Page number 2, you can start creating your folders. And to create folders, all you got to do is again tap on the app that's all by themselves and then edit home screen again to get them wiggly and take one app and drag it onto another app. And it will create a folder. Now it's already on this example here, it sees that I have one health and fitness app and one video app, and it's just defaulting to healthcare and fitness. But you could just X on that and change whatever category that you want to have. So I'm going to just put miscellaneous. I'll probably come back and do this again and figure out what I want to call that. I have a lot of, like, free apps right now that like, when I say free, I don't mean they're free, but I mean they're, like, not in a folder, and so they need to get cleaned up into their respective folders. I have a settings folder, messaging folder, learning, social apps, shopping, photo apps, and I also have head office, meaning those are apps where I can get into, like, the back end of my website and whatnot. But right now I have Threads that's out for it's out freewheeling there all by itself, and so I just dragged that into socials. I have my Air Canada app, which, you know what? I don't really need that right now because I'm not going on any trips anytime soon, so I'll just delete that. I'll upload it again when I'm using it. This is also a good time to get rid of apps, like, if you're not using them and don't plan on using them in a while, then just get rid of them. You can always, like, them again when you need them. So that's how you clean everything up. And then when you turn your phone on, you have this nice clean screen without it going like whack in your face. The next thing I recommend that you do is that you turn off all notifications. You can actually turn them off through each app, or you can just go to your settings and click on the settings, and then you go through notifications, and it will list out underneath notifications. It's going to list all of the apps. I always make my best practice of Facebook and, Instagram and all of those guys, they're off. I have most notifications off completely. And except for the ones that I have specifically set up for emergency kind of breakthroughs, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later. You can choose to have your phone and text on. It's pretty easy to do and have all other notifications off. And then also don't forget, don't be shy of putting things on do not disturb. You see, I have this on do not disturb right now. What's really cool is that on the iPhone, each one of these things, you have personal, work, sleep, fitness, and driving. Each one of them have a specific way that you can set them up. So if I go into personal, in the personal settings, you'll see that when I'm on my personal focus, I have all these people set up that can get through, and the apps that I'm going to use that I allow notification or not allow notification. And what this allows me to do is I can have a kind of like a different phone on my iPhone when I'm in my personal time than I do when I'm in my work time. So on personal focus, none of my work stuff gets through. And on my work time, I allow all of my work notifications to get through unless I need one of those special do not disturb times, like when I'm in a meeting or recording a video like this, or doing something that needing like 2 hours of block work or something so that I can get a specific project done. Then I use the do not disturb. and the silence function. So get comfortable learning to know how your phone can work with you and with your boundaries. Choose a time and day and schedule a window or two where you could just like dig in to your social media. I have a lot of socials here on my phone that I don't shy away from. I just make sure that I allow allotted time to go on them. And when I'm following the smartphone boundary builder, I'll do like 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes at the end of the day. Better yet, I think at this point, since I've been, you know, admittedly a little bit more undisciplined, I will put that 30-minute social window as a reward after I've had a great productive work day. Then I'll go ahead and sometimes, a lot of times actually, social media is part of what I do for work. So it's really easy to, if you let yourself be undisciplined when social media is part of your job, to just let the day piddle away if you're not careful. So it's super important to not completely deprive yourself, but to allow that 30-minute window to get through and be strategic about it. Be intentional about it. Don't get sucked into the scroll roll so that you can protect your energy and your mental wellness. Choose a time to be in airplane mode. Be realistic and choose a time that works for you and your lifestyle. Try to stop using your smartphone for anything at all at least 1 hour before bedtime. At least 1 hour. And I explain more in the sleep podcast I did not too long ago. This is one thing that you're going to really want to pay attention to, especially when it comes to protecting your energy and your mental health and getting a good night's sleep. It makes a huge difference. I'm going to give you an example of being in airplane mode. It might be, you set up yourself a personal policy of at 6 p.m., I put my phone in airplane mode, or I use the do not disturb with settings that mom can get through, but that's the only person. And I don't look at my phone until 7 a.m. the next day. And that's your airplane window. You have to be realistic about the fact that most people don't have landlines anymore. And the phone is your point of contact. So if somebody needs to get a hold of you and it is important, you need to have that access on, but you don't need to have that access on to everybody. You know, or everybody's going to be calling you or texting you, and you're going to need to respond. So make that time really, really special and put a fortress around that time. That's standard practice for me. And then I challenge on the smartphone boundary builder to add a full 24-hour period per week on the weekend, or choose a different random day. Like, it doesn't have to be the weekend. It could be like another random day. Like, we could name it Phoneless Fridays, something like that. Make sure it works for you, and then and stick to the same day weekly, and try to work up to a second day where you're having it in your do not disturb, except for, mom, kids, husband, whoever is in immediate family or BFF. But the main thing is no social media. Use your phone just like as a phone. Pick up the phone and call someone. Hey, there's a novel idea. Have a conversation if that's in your New Year's goal. So that's about it for the smartphone boundary builder. This is not a really easy topic to touch on because, I mean, it depends how you feel about your smartphone. If you don't feel like you can ever disconnect from it because you've never known life without it, I can relate. I remember when I quit smoking cold turkey. And I'm alluding to that because it feels the same. My phone feels the same now as a pack of cigarettes did in my pocket. If it's not there, I feel like something's missing. So when I quit smoking, I was a smoker for more than half my life. I was 13 when I started. I smoked for 19 years and I quit cold turkey. And it was really tough. But the first thing that I really realized and experienced was the amount of time that I had on my hands. And also the difficulty of having to process my feelings in the moment. Because I had always had the habit of taking a moment and going outside for a smoke to process. If I was happy, sad, mad, processing something, I did it all with a smoke. And so it was like that was like my best friend. And then all of a sudden, my best friend was gone. So if you don't remember what life feels like disconnected, this is for you. This is something that is absolutely necessary. It might be the toughest thing that you do this year, but it has so many paybacks, so many benefits. I challenge myself to do it all the time and redo it all the time. It's not a one and done. And I'm challenging you to do it as well. Will you do it? Will you smartphone boundary builder with me? Let me know in the comments below or send me an email. Let me know what you're going to do around your smartphone this year to have it help serve you rather than own you, so to speak. And I know those are like big words, but sometimes it does feel like our smartphones dictate our day. So we can dictate our smartphone instead of having our smartphone dictate our day. Take control of your time, take control of your energy, and take control of your space. Thanks for listening, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.